House training your rescue dog. 1. Pick a potty spot. 2. Keep a consistent schedule. 3. Praise him as he progresses. 4. Be patient. 5. Give him or her your time. Bringing home a rescue can be a rewarding experience both for you and the dog you decided to share your life with, but it comes with significant challenges that must be dealt with immediately after getting them home. Video by Top Dog Tips. It is vital to understand that most such dogs have been a victim of abuse, and before you can domesticate them, you must reinforce confidence and let them build trust around you. The first step to this is to have a complete understanding of the dog's history. Getting to know of his past will help you prepare better for his training and, more importantly, allow you to bond with him on a much deeper level. Your best tools in this journey would be patience, knowledge, and consistency. If you decide to adopt a male dog, chances are he would be marking the house, as they do in the wild, by urinating on walls and tables and chairs. If that is the case, pay attention if your dog is neutered. Most pounds will spay or neuter before sending a dog off to a new home, but it is not always. If he is not neutered, get him to a vet. In any case, it is a good idea to get your dog to a vet for a thorough checkup before you begin his training. Such dogs would often have underlying medical conditions like bladder infection that need to be dealt with urgently. Some rescue dogs may show signs of anxiety. In that case, consult a positive reinforcement trainer to work on the issue. Once the medical issues are taken care of, be prepared for training cleanup. Most dogs take anywhere from 3 to 5 weeks to be completely trained, and in the initial weeks would usually make a mess of your house. If he urinates on the floor or walls, immediately remove all traces of it. Dogs usually recognize where to relieve themselves by smelling urine, so if there is any trace of urine in your house, it might encourage him to relieve himself there again. Also, for the training, make a schedule and stick to it. Dogs work well with schedule, and it will make your life a lot easier to train your dog this way. House training. House training your dog is challenging but also equally rewarding. Take it slow, have patience, and your dog will eventually learn to be a good boy. Here we have explained in detail how you might go about it with your dog. Pick a potty spot. The first step to house training your dog is to potty train him. To do this, take your dog out to the exact same spot every day at the same time for him to relieve himself. It might be a little taxing at first, but with positive reinforcements, it should not be very difficult for your dog to understand and adapt. Make sure to praise your dog if he does his training right by either words or treats, so that he understands you want him to do it. Dogs usually recognize their place of excretion by the smell of it, and by the 3rd or 4th time, your dog should be able to go on his own. Keep a consistent schedule. The key to training your dog successfully is consistency in his schedule. Make a mental note of when to take him outside. Ideally, he should be taken to his spot right after he wakes up in the morning. After that, every other hour and 20 minutes after his meals should be fine. You need to also take him before going to bed. Monitor your dog. During the training, your dog should not be allowed to stroll about in the house unsupervised at any point. You must remember that he is not fully trained, and accidental urination/excretion may occur every now and then. If that is not immediately cleaned up, the scent mark will confuse the dog and might create hindrances in training. The best way to deal with the initial training phase is to restrict your dog to 1 or 2 rooms at most, which allows you better supervision of any such accidents, and in case they do occur, make amends quickly so as to not confuse the dog. Look out for suggestive body language. Dogs cannot communicate with words. Therefore, it is important to pay attention to their body language to understand them properly. Watch him as he roams around the house. You will notice significant body language changes when he has to go out to relieve himself. He may start intense sniffing, circling, become restless, or return to the corner of the house he used to relieve himself in before you started the program. If you see any of the following behaviors in your dog, get him out to his spot immediately. Praise him as he progresses. When you take him outside and he goes to his spot, praise him and play with him when she is done. A treat may also be given. This reinforcement makes him associate this behavior with praise, and he'll want to do it again. If you want to train him using commands, use specific words while he is relieving himself so that he starts to associate those words with this behavior. Once trained, he can be simply told the word for him to go relieve himself. Clean up the accidental excretion. Your dog will inadvertently have an accidental excretion or 2 while in training. It is quite normal, but you must act fast to clean it up. Throw away any and all fecal material, preferably in a sealed bag, and use disposable towels to soak in as much urine as you can. Once initial cleanup is done, proceed to deodorize the spot. Proper deodorization is essential since if not done correctly, the odor will draw him back there and make him want to go excrete there again. Do not use regular house cleaning products to clean up the mess. Most of them contain ammonia, which will only make the smell worse. You need to find a cleaner that is specifically made for pet soils. Clean the spot well with a cleanser and then use a combination of water and baking soda to remove all traces of excretion. Be sure to dry up any additional moisture that may have been left there. Don't be too hard on your dog. A lot of dog owners think if they punish their dogs or raise their voices, it will make the dogs realize their mistake and they will correct it next time onwards. The problem is, while it might hold true for human beings, it is not so with dogs. Dogs don't understand our language, they go off of our body language. And when you shout or are generally angry at the dog, it makes them scared of you. Punishing dogs don't work because they cannot comprehend what punishment inherently is, and instead they interpret it as you being violent. This may prove particularly hard for the dog and for the training, since he will be anxious to go with you around and will often go excrete in secret without you knowing his spots. Maximizing your chances of success. Before you begin training, you must keep in mind that each dog is different and that there is no universal manual when it comes to training your dog. A lot of it is dependent on the bond that you two share and also on how quickly can the dog read your signals. Here are some helpful tips on what you can do to maximize your chances of success. Be patient. Every dog learns in their own sweet time. Do not rush him. It might affect him adversely and may consequently hamper the training. Give him clear signals and praise him when he does it right. It may not happen overnight, but with sufficient practice, your dog will learn to adapt. If your dog is having trouble with any portion of being house trained, make sure that you are giving him clear indications of what he needs to do. If you are and he is still confused, maybe you need to look into alternative approaches to tackle the problem. Watch for incontinency. It is quite common for rescue dogs to suffer from incontinency, and you must look out for any such indication in your dog. If, in spite of the training, your dog often relieves himself indoors or wets himself while sleeping, he might suffer from incontinency. If that is the case, schedule a visit to the vet to figure out the medical problem. Give him your time. Training a dog is taxing. It takes time and constant vigilance in the first few weeks. It may be hard for you to manage training him while you are working 9 to 5 shifts, so it is best that you take some time off to train your dog properly. Accidents during training are common and must be tended to immediately. Also, since he is just learning to relieve himself outside, he must have someone at all times to let him out should be need to go. Not allowing that may make him go back to his old spot indoors, thus negating the training. If you cannot get time off and need to be at work, see if a friend would help. If you found someone to look after your dog when you are gone, be sure to walk them through the entire training so that it is consistent for the dog. You might also consider hiring a pet sitter.